You lie still beneath the night sky. Your breath is soft, your body is quiet, and above you the stars wait, not rushing, not shouting, just being, pinpricks of gentle light, scattered like old dreams across a dark canvas. Let your mind drift there, not to a single star, but between them, to the deep black space that surrounds everything, to the quiet places where nothing seems to be, and yet something is. You float now gently through that darkness, not as a body, not even as a thought, but as a presence, slow, wide, open. There is no sound here, no movement you can see, but listen closely, not with your ears, with your attention. There is a stillness, yes, but not an empty one. It hums with something you can't quite name. This is the space between galaxies, a place so vast it bends your sense of time, the kind of silence that stretches endlessly, softly, and seems to breathe just beyond your grasp. And yet, that silence is not still. The galaxies are drifting apart, not slowly shrinking toward each other, as gravity would have them do, but drifting away, gently, endlessly, into more and more distance. The universe is expanding. You've heard that before, maybe in a textbook or a planetarium, as a fact among facts. But here, now, you feel it. You feel space itself stretching beneath you like fabric pulled at the edges. Not fast, not violent, just persistent, and between every star, that space is growing. You imagine it like a calm breath. Inhale, the galaxies spread. Exhale, and nothing contracts. Because this is a breath that never reverses, only outward, only forward. Your body, lying still, is part of this great drift. Your cells, your skin, your thoughts, all held within this expanding world. And as you breathe now, slowly and quietly, you are in rhythm with the breath of space itself. It doesn't feel like a force. It doesn't push or pull like gravity. It doesn't come from a star or a planet. It's not even something you can point to, and yet, it is there, in everything. A quiet pressure, gentle as sleep, nudging the universe open. Astronomers call this invisible nudge dark energy. But here in the space between stars, you don't need its name. You feel it in the way galaxies seem to glide, like lanterns on a slowly widening river. Even the light from those distant stars carries a whisper of expansion. As it travels across the universe, that light is stretched, its color shifting red, its song lowering like a slow heartbeat. It tells a story of motion, of distance growing, of a universe not only moving, but unfolding. You picture yourself resting on that unfolding fabric, not afraid, not lost, just part of something unimaginably vast. And despite the scale, there is comfort here, because expansion is not chaos. It is rhythm, it is spaciousness, it is possibility. The stars have always known this. They have always drifted this way, but for so long, we didn't see it. We believed once that the universe would slow down, that gravity would pull everything back together, that expansion was a passing breath, soon to end. But then, something changed. Or rather, we began to notice. Not only is the universe expanding, it is expanding faster. Galaxies aren't just floating away, they're accelerating, rushing outward like leaves on a growing tide. And the further away they are, the faster they go. This puzzled scientists. It still does, because nothing we knew, no star, no planet, no force, could explain it. It was as if the space between things was wanting to grow, as if the emptiness itself had agency. You might imagine that as a kind of wind, a soft invisible current that doesn't blow from one place to another, but blows between all places at once. And just as your breath opens your lungs, this dark energy opens the universe. You are floating now, eyes closed, surrounded not by walls but by widening distance. Each moment, space grows a little more, and in that growth, there is peace. The galaxies are not rushing in panic. They are gliding, following the calm, relentless rhythm of something ancient, something present at every point, but nowhere to be found. You breathe with them, you rest in that rhythm, and with each breath you expand, not outward, but inward, into wonder, into stillness, into the mystery that connects everything. There is a stillness between stars, but it is not a dead stillness. It is alive, it is moving, and it is just beginning to tell its story. The stars have grown distant now, soft points of light scattered on a canvas that keeps unfolding. There is no edge here, only the feeling of openness. Wide, silent, and slow, your body is quiet, your breathing light, and in this stillness, something subtle begins to whisper, not in words, not in sound, but in the gentle pull of attention. You notice that space, this vast blackness between stars, is not nothing. It feels different, like it's doing something, like it's not just where things are, but what shapes the way they move. Let yourself feel that. Float, not just through space. Float with it. Let it cradle you. Let it stretch around you, and you begin to realize space is not still. Space expands, not because something pushes it, not because there's a force tearing it apart, but because it wants to grow, slowly, like rising bread, or like the spreading warmth of morning. Imagine a balloon, and how dots on its surface move away from each other, as it fills with air, not because the dots are moving, but because the surface itself is growing. Now picture galaxies as those dots, and space, the balloon. You are inside this balloon, not on its surface, but within its skin, and it expands not into anything else, just into more of itself. This idea may feel strange, that space, something we can't see or touch, could change, could stretch, could grow, but here you are, floating inside it, and it holds you like water, holds a boat, gently, invisibly, completely. Scientists once thought space was just a stage, a place where the real action happened, where planets spun and stars were born, and gravity played its games. But space, it turns out, is not passive. It bends, it curves, it stretches. You might not feel it with your senses, but your mind can feel it now, that quiet expansion, like a yawn too deep for words. Even light must obey space. When space stretches, so does the light traveling through it. Its waves grow longer, its colors shift red. That's how we know expansion is happening, because ancient starlight tells us so. You drift through that light, those stretched out whispers from distant stars. They've been traveling for billions of years, and every moment of that journey, space has stretched beneath them. You think of that light as a traveler, but it rides not on roads, it rides on the skin of space itself, as it moves beneath it. And so space is not a container, it's more like a fabric, a shifting, flowing field that responds to mass, to time, and to something deeper still. Physicists call this fabric the space-time continuum, a gentle mouthful, but here, it feels more like a river, one that carries not only stars, but time itself. Yes, even time is tied to this space. Where space stretches, time flows differently. Where gravity presses, time slows. Where space is empty and smooth, time moves on with ease. And so you are not just drifting through space, you are drifting through moments, stretched and curved by the shape of space itself. And what shapes space? That is the mystery. We used to think gravity shaped everything, that mass told space how to curve, and space told mass how to move. That was Einstein's great insight. And yet, even Einstein didn't imagine a force like this, a force that doesn't come from anything, but lives in everything, a quiet push in the structure of space itself, not caused by stars or planets, but by emptiness. Imagine emptiness that is not empty, that hums with unseen energy, that quietly urges the universe to grow, that hums what we call dark energy. You cannot see it, you cannot hold it, but you are resting in it now, just as the stars are. It surrounds everything, passes through everything, and yet, no one knows what it is. But you don't need to know. Tonight, you only need to feel. Feel the way space stretches under your breath. Feel the silence between your thoughts expanding, soft as sleep, wide as sky. You are not falling, you are floating, on the quiet curve of a universe that never stops becoming. Let yourself become with it. You are not just in space, you are part of space, and space in turn is part of something larger, something deeper, something whispering, and though you may never hear the whole message, the whisper itself is enough. Let it carry you now, into a deeper stillness, one that listens as much as it expands. Tomorrow you'll follow that whisper further, but for now you rest in the silence of space that is never quite silent. Before the silence, before the stars scattered wide across the sky, the universe was small, close, warm. Tonight you go back, not in time, exactly, but in feeling. You draw inward, like the cosmos once did, back to a moment when everything was near, when all the matter, all the light, and all the space itself was packed into a single brilliant hush. You close your eyes, and suddenly, there's a pressure, not uncomfortable but full, like a room filled with candlelight, like a breath you're just about to release. This was the early universe. Not empty, not quiet. It shimmered with energy. It glowed with newborn heat. No galaxies yet. No stars. No planets. Only particles, dancing too fast to settle. Only the raw ingredients of what would one day become you. And yet, even in that chaos, there was a rhythm. The universe was expanding. Even then, a quiet, steady stretching, small at first, like a ripple in still water. But each moment, it reached farther. This closeness, this warmth, was not built to last. And so, the universe grew. Not because it wanted to, but because it had to. The energy was too much to stay still. You imagine a balloon filling with heat. It swells, not because anything outside pushes it, but because what's inside demands room. That's what space did. It made room. You drift with that idea, back through the epochs of light and fire, to a universe where everything was just beginning to sort itself out, where particles cooled and linked arms, where atoms formed, where light was finally free to travel. That light still travels. It moves through space, even now. It whispers from every direction. Astronomers call it the cosmic microwave background. But here in this soft place between thoughts, you feel it more like a memory, the afterglow of a closeness now gone. And with that memory comes a question. If the universe began close and slowed as it stretched, shouldn't that slowing have continued? Gravity, after all, pulls things together. The galaxies, the clusters, the stars, they all attract, like lovers drawing near, like threads pulling taut. For a long time we believed the universe's expansion would gradually ease, that gravity would win, or at least tug gently against the outward rush. Maybe things would slow to a stop. Maybe one day the expansion would reverse, a great breath in then out. But something changed, not in the universe, but in us, in how we looked, in what we measured. Astronomers began to study distant supernovae, those beautiful stellar explosions that act like cosmic lighthouses. They expected to see the past as a slower expansion. They expected signs of the universe breaking, gently, but that's not what they found. Instead, they found surprise. The universe wasn't slowing down, it was speeding up. The outward motion had quickened, like a balloon inflating faster, with no hand to squeeze it, and no air to explain it. This wasn't what anyone expected. It was as though something hidden had crept in, and changed the rhythm of everything. You pause with that thought, not in fear, but in wonder, because even as the galaxies stretch farther apart, the question they leave behind grows closer. What caused the acceleration? What turned a slow outward drift into a cosmic sprint? We call it dark energy, this unknown thing that causes space to stretch faster, but it's more than a name. It's a mystery that lives in the widening between everything. And yet, even now, you return to that first feeling, of a universe once close, of a time when light touched everything, when matter mingled and merged, and space was a warm sea, not a cold silence. In a way that closeness still exists, not in distance, but in origin. Every galaxy, every atom, every breath you take came from the same place, the same spark, the same moment of fire and unfolding. You are not separate from the stars, you are not separate from the space between them. You are part of the same great story, the same soft explosion of being. And as you lie still now, wrapped in the quiet dark, you carry the memory of closeness inside you. Your atoms remember, your bones, your breath, your blood. They came from stars, and from the space that once held those stars tight. And even though the universe expands, you are always held by it, not lost, but carried. The galaxies may drift apart. The night sky may grow quiet, but the warmth of that early universe still lingers, in you, around you, and in the rhythm of space unfolding. Let that warmth hold you now. Let it remind you that even the widest distances begin in closeness, that even the most mysterious forces once came from light, that tomorrow's questions are born in today's stillness, and that every outward motion holds a quiet center inside it, just like you. The universe moves. You've seen it, not with your eyes, but with your understanding. Galaxies floating away from each other, like seeds on a gentle breeze, space itself stretching slowly, peacefully. But tonight that breeze becomes something more. It does not slow down, it quickens. You feel it not as speed, but as a shift in rhythm. The breath of the universe, once calm and steady, begins to lengthen its stride. This is the great acceleration, and it is both quiet and astonishing. You might have imagined the universe expanding like a ball tossed in the air, rising fast at first, then gradually slowing, as gravity pulls back. That was the expectation for a long, long time, and it made sense. Gravity tugs, mass attracts mass. The stars should pull on each other, the galaxies should lean inward, like raindrops reluctant to separate. But when we looked closely, when we measured distant supernovae, their light softened by distance and age, we found something else entirely. The ball is not slowing, it is speeding up, and no one saw it coming. You picture the galaxies again, but now, instead of drifting apart gently, they are rushing. The farther they are, the faster they move. Not because they are being thrown, but because space itself is stretching faster between them. It's not motion through space, it's motion of space, and it's happening everywhere, between galaxies, between stars, between you and the edges of the cosmos. You float inside this acceleration, not alarmed, not confused, but open, quiet, observant. Because this acceleration isn't violent, it isn't explosive, it's more like a deep current, a widening river that picks up speed far beneath the surface. No wind, no sound, only motion without cause. Scientists were surprised. Some didn't believe it at first. They double-checked the data, again and again, but the numbers spoke clearly. The universe was not just expanding, it was expanding faster and faster over time. And yet, this force, this quiet urgency, where does it come from? Not gravity, not matter, not anything we can see. It emerges not from presence but from absence, from the emptiness between things. You pause with that thought. The emptier the universe becomes, the faster it stretches, as if nothingness itself is restless. It defies our intuition. It challenges our sense of balance. We expect the full to push, not the empty, but dark energy doesn't follow our expectations. It whispers in the void. It nudges the universe to grow, not in bursts but in deepening stillness. You might think of it as tension, a tension in the fabric of space, one that relaxes by stretching, or imagine a quiet invisible tide that rises not from the ocean but from the shape of space itself. And you, drifting here, feel that tide, lifting everything, not pushing it apart, with force, but opening the distance in between. It is strange, yes, but not frightening, because even in acceleration, there is calm. You are not falling, you are not being torn, you are part of a universe that simply grows, and this growth does not harm, it simply changes the shape of time. You think back to the moment of discovery, Those astronomers looking deep into space, measuring ancient light, they expected deceleration, they found acceleration, and in that moment, the cosmos became a stranger again, not dangerous, but deeply unfamiliar, and yet, that unfamiliarity feels like wonder, because what is mystery, if not a kind of invitation? You rest in that mystery now, you let the acceleration unfold around you. It is not yours to stop or solve, only yours to witness, to imagine, to feel. You picture the future, a time when the galaxies are so far apart, their light no longer reaches us, a sky that grows darker, quieter, as acceleration carries everything outward. But even then, dark energy remains, the quiet breath beneath all motion, the invisible rhythm that does not fade. Some believe it is a property of space itself, that every bit of space contains a fixed amount of this strange energy. So as space grows, so too does its power. Others wonder if it is something deeper, something not yet named, not yet understood. But tonight, you don't need the answer. You only need the feeling, the hum beneath silence, the drift beneath stillness. You float inside this widening world, held by a force that does not grip. It simply makes space, more and more space, and in that space you find room to wonder, to breathe, to rest. The great acceleration continues. It carries every star, every galaxy, every distant echo, and it carries you too, not away from anything, but into the quiet mystery of a universe that is always becoming. Sometimes, the universe does something so unexpected that even the people studying it don't believe it. Tonight, you drift into one of those moments. The year is 1998. Two teams of astronomers, strangers to each other, yet both chasing the same question, begin looking into deep space. Their goal is simple, or so it seems, to measure how much the expansion of the universe is slowing down, because surely it must be slowing. Gravity pulls, and even the vast weightless stars must tug at each other over time, so they turn to light, to the ancient glow of exploding stars called Type E, supernova. These cosmic beacons burn with a consistent brightness, like distant lanterns with the same flame. By measuring how bright they appear, the astronomers can tell how far away they are. By measuring how stretched their light is, how redshifted, they can tell how fast the universe was expanding when the light was released. A clever method, a cosmic yardstick. So they gather the data, and at first it doesn't make sense. The faraway supernova seemed dimmer than expected, not just far, but farther than they should be. Their light stretched more than expected. Their stories whispered from a universe that was expanding faster than anyone believed possible. The numbers point in one direction. The universe is not slowing down, it is speeding up. The researchers double-check, triple-check. They question the instruments. They check for dust, error, coincidence, and then both teams, separately, arrive at the same strange truth. The expansion of the universe is accelerating. It is a moment of scientific awe and also disbelief, because this is not how things were supposed to be. Gravity, it seems, is not in charge of the future, something else is. You rest in that moment of discovery, when the facts didn't align with the expectations, and yet the evidence was clear. Something hidden was acting on the cosmos, something not tied to stars or planets or even matter, something woven into the fabric of space itself. They gave it a name, dark energy, not because it is dark like a shadow, but because it cannot yet be seen. It does not glow, it does not gather, it only stretches, a quiet, invisible presence that makes the space between galaxies grow faster and faster, like a tide that cannot be reversed. You imagine how strange that must have felt, to look out at the universe, hoping to find a gentle slowing, and instead discover a rising breath, like listening for a heartbeat and hearing a second one, far deeper. And this second heartbeat was everywhere, in all directions, in every ancient star, in every widening space. The discovery rippled outward. It changed how we saw the universe. It changed how we imagined its future. And yet, even now we do not fully understand what we found. Dark energy remains unknown. We know what it does, but not why, not how, not where it comes from. Some theories call it a cosmological constant, an unchanging feature of space itself. Others think it may shift, evolve, even vanish one day. But those are questions for tomorrow. Tonight, you stay with the wonder of the moment when science listened carefully and heard something new. You lie still beneath that same sky. The galaxies drift, the stars remain silent, but somewhere in that silence space stretches, and you feel it. You are part of the same story, the same discovery, the same gentle unraveling of cosmic truth. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy. It came in numbers, in patterns of light, in quiet data and quieter questions, and yet it changed everything. Sometimes the most astonishing truths arrive, not with thunder, but with a whisper. You rest in that whisper now, a whisper of space growing wider, a whisper of mystery not as something to fear, but something to follow, and you wonder, if the universe can surprise even its most careful watchers, what else might it hold? The discovery no one believed was true, and in its truth, the universe became deeper. There is a quiet power in giving something a name. It doesn't solve the mystery, but it makes it real. It gives it a place in our minds, a shape in our stories. You rest in that moment now, the moment when scientists, humbled and curious, stood before a force they didn't understand and gave it a name: dark energy. The words are simple, short, soft, but heavy with meaning. Dark, not because it is evil, not because it is dangerous, but because it is unknown, unseen, unlit by the clarity of understanding. And energy, because it acts. It pushes, it fills space, not with silence but with motion. Dark energy, a name not of answers, but of questions made visible. You float with that name now, letting its meaning stretch gently around you. It doesn't press, it doesn't shout, it simply is force. This field, this rhythm wasn't born from matter or light. It didn't gather like galaxies, or burst like stars. It appeared in the equations. It appeared in the light of distant supernovae. It appeared in the widening of space itself. And so we named it, because we had to. Because the mind, like the cosmos, seeks to expand, to wrap itself around what it can't yet hold. You imagine early astronomers, staring at the data, speaking that name for the first time: dark energy, a placeholder, a promise, a way of saying we see something but not clearly yet. Even Einstein, a century earlier, had glimpsed a shadow of it. He had called it the cosmological constant, a tiny force embedded in the structure of space, meant to keep the universe steady. Later, he thought it was a mistake, a patch on the fabric of reality that didn't belong. But now we wonder if that patch was part of the design all along. Dark energy may be that constant, or it may be something else entirely, something that shifts, that breathes, that changes over time, and still the name remains. You reflect on that, how humans, when faced with the vast and the strange, reach for language, for symbols, for names that hold space for what we do not yet know. You've done it too. You've whispered names into the night, for feelings you couldn't explain. You've held quiet questions in your heart by shaping them into stories, into poems, into dreams. Dark energy is like that. It is science reaching beyond itself, not abandoning logic, but letting curiosity speak in gentler tones. It is a reminder that the universe is not only made of things we can touch, but also of questions that glow just beyond reach. You lie still now, not trying to solve dark energy, but to feel its presence. It isn't warm, it isn't cold, it is more like a pause, a space within space, a silence that expands. And in that silence, you sense a kind of intimacy. Because to name something you don't understand is to be close to it, not to conquer, but to acknowledge, not to label, but to live beside. Dark energy lives beside us now, in every model of the cosmos, in every map of galaxies, in every dream of how the universe might end. And still, we know almost nothing about it. But that's okay. You don't need all the answers to feel the wonder. You don't need the full picture to see its beauty. Sometimes, just knowing that mystery exists is enough to soften the edges of the night. You breathe with that idea, slowly, gently. You let the name sit with you. Dark energy. A name made of shadow and motion. A name that holds space for all. You imagine perhaps that one day we will find a better name, one born not from ignorance but from understanding. But tonight, this one is enough, because the truth it points to is still unfolding, and so are you. Close your eyes. Imagine nothing. No stars. No planets. No light. No sound. Just blackness. Just space. It seems empty, doesn't it? But now, let yourself sink deeper. Let your thoughts stretch wider. Let that nothing open, and you begin to feel something else. Because space, no matter how quiet, no matter how still, is never truly empty. It hums, softly, endlessly, everywhere. This is not something you hear with your ears. It's something you sense, in the quiet, between thoughts, in the space between stars. You float now in that space, weightless, unbound, surrounded by what seems like silence. But beneath the silence, there is a flicker, a whisper, a presence. Physicists call it vacuum energy, the energy of empty space itself. Even when there are no particles, no atoms, no heat, space still holds energy. Tiny fields ripple in and out of existence. Particles blink into being and vanish again, not as chaos, but as quantum breath, so fleeting, so fine, you could never see it, but it shapes everything. This restless dance, happening at scales so small, they defy imagination, is the foundation of all things. Even nothing has a rhythm. You may have heard the phrase the vacuum of space. It sounds like absence, a void, a place where nothing happens. But now you know, it's a place where everything begins. You drift through that vacuum, not as a traveler, but as awareness. You feel the presence in the absence, the fullness in the hollow, and slowly you begin to sense something deeper. This vacuum energy, this soft invisible vibration of nothingness, may be more than background noise. It may be dark energy itself, because this isn't energy inside space. It's energy of space. It does not move. It does not swirl or shine. It simply exists. Everywhere. Equally, pressing outward. Gently. Imagine a fog, but not a cold one. A fog made of pure stillness. A fog that doesn't block your vision, but stretches it. This is the kind of force dark energy seems to be. A quiet, constant pressure that pushes the universe open from within. And the more space there is, the more of this quiet pressure exists. It's like a gentle spring woven into the fabric of space, and when space grows, the spring pulls just a little more, not hard, not fast, but enough. Enough to make the galaxies slide farther apart, enough to make the future stretch beyond imagination. You rest in that fog now, not afraid, not lost, held by something that has no edges, and in that holding you begin to see emptiness differently, not as a failure of presence, but as a container for possibility. It's easy sometimes to fear the dark, to think of emptiness as cold or lonely, but space, true space, does not reject. It welcomes, it gives all things their room to move, it lets galaxies breathe, it holds the seeds of stars and the trails of light, and it hums, it always hums. You imagine that hum now, not as sound, but as a vibration beneath everything, the kind of vibration that carries time, that cradles gravity, that whispers the shape of the universe itself. Some scientists call it a cosmological field. Some say it's a property of quantum mechanics. Others wonder if it is the very shape of space-time when left alone. But tonight, you don't need the equations. You don't need to measure or define. Tonight you feel that even when everything else is gone, when the stars burn out, when the galaxies vanish into darkness, space will remain, and in that space, dark energy will still stretch, still hum, still guide the rhythm of whatever comes next. Even in the deepest silence, there is motion. Even in the most perfect stillness, there is presence. You lie quietly, now wrapped in a darkness that is not empty, but full of what? You don't need to answer. Just rest in the knowing that space holds more than we can ever see, and that what we call nothing might be everything. Time slows here, not just seconds or hours, but whole eons. You float in the space between stars, and then beyond that into the space between galaxies, and then beyond even that into a future so distant that language begins to melt. This is not tomorrow. This is not 1,000 years from now. This is forever, or as close to it as we can feel, and in this endless reach, you begin to wonder what becomes of a universe that is still expanding. What happens when dark energy continues its silent push, year after year, age after age? The answers are not certain, but the questions are beautiful. You drift through possibilities now, each one a different kind of dream. In one, the universe keeps stretching, just as it is now. Galaxies grow more distant, the spaces between them widening like sleep. Stars live and die, dust drifts quietly in cosmic night. This is the slow fade, a universe growing colder, emptier, quieter, not with violence, but with a hush. In this vision, trillions of years pass. Galaxies no longer dance together, they are too far apart. Gravity's threads grow thin, stars grow old. Even light, once eager and fast, struggles to cross the growing distances. And yet, there is peace here, a stillness so vast it feels sacred. You breathe with that silence, not afraid, not lonely, just aware of how deeply time can stretch. In another vision, dark energy grows stronger. Its gentle push begins to swell, to rise, like a tide that never stops. This is the Big Rip, a quiet unraveling. Galaxies drift apart, then stars, then planets. Eventually, even atoms can no longer hold together. The very fabric of space pulls everything open. This is not chaos. It is not destruction. It is a return to spacing so wide, so smooth, that structure no longer holds. Even time itself might thin and stretch. You don't need to hold this vision tightly. You just let it float past. One version of forever, and then there is a softer theory that dark energy may not last forever, that perhaps one day its strength will wane. Maybe it will slow, maybe it will pause, maybe expansion will soften into stillness, and maybe, just maybe, the universe will turn inward. Galaxies will drift back toward one another, stars will collide, light will gather. This is the big crunch, a cosmic return, a folding in, an end that echoes the beginning, and in that collapse some wonder if a new universe could bloom, not as repetition, but as renewal, a breath in, then a breath out, and then again. You float now among these visions, not needing to decide, not needing to predict. You simply listen to what eternity might sound like. It sounds like wind moving through a canyon of stars, like a ripple in the dark, like breath in a sleeping world. The truth is, we don't know what will happen. Dark energy holds the answer, but we still don't know what it is. We don't know if it changes over time. We don't know where it comes from. We only know that it is here, and that it shapes everything. But there is something deeply comforting in that. The idea that the universe is held by something invisible, something quiet, something constant, even if we don't understand it. You feel that now, the steady rhythm of expansion, the slow drift of galaxies, the silent music of forever. You are not separate from it. Your body is made of stars. Your breath once belonged to ancient suns. Your thoughts echo the same energy that stretches the cosmos open. And so, when you wonder about the fate of everything, you are really wondering about yourself. Where do you go when time moves forward beyond all memory? What becomes of the parts of you that were once fire, once dust, once starlight? They go on, maybe not as names, maybe not as form, but as motion, as energy, as rhythm. Just like the universe, you feel the softness of that truth. You are not apart from forever, you are folded into it, a small beautiful ripple in a sea of time. The future may stretch endlessly, or it may curve back to the beginning, or it may dissolve into silence, but whatever comes, you are part of it. Dark energy is not a wall, it is a wind, and you are sailing with it, toward whatever waits beyond the stars. You let that thought cradle you, as your breath slows, as your body sinks into stillness. The fate of forever doesn't need to be solved, it only needs to be felt. Close your eyes now, feel the silence settle around you. No stars, no sound, no time ticking, just space. Still, quiet, empty. Or is it? You've heard the word vacuum before, a word that sounds like absence. A hollow, a void. But what if that's not true? What if emptiness is not really empty? What if beneath the silence there is a hum, a soft, endless murmur of things appearing and disappearing, so quickly, so faintly, you almost miss them? This is the dream of the vacuum. Not nothing, but something wearing the costume of nothing. In the strange theatre of quantum physics, the vacuum is never still. It bubbles, it flickers, it breathes. Particles pop in and out of existence, not staying long but long enough to leave an echo. Physicists call them quantum fluctuations, tiny bursts of energy emerging from the void, then vanishing again. Like fireflies in a dark forest, blinking only for a heartbeat, you float now through that forest, except there are no trees, only fields of probability, only ripples in nothing. And yet, this nothingness holds everything. The vacuum is not the background, it is the stage. Everything you know, every atom, every planet, every galaxy rests upon this flickering field. And the strange part, it may hold more energy than all the stars combined. This is the paradox of empty space, that it may not be empty at all. Some believe this hidden energy is what we call dark energy, the quiet, constant push that makes the universe expand faster and faster. Invisible, undetectable, but woven into the fabric of everything. Imagine lying on a calm sea. The surface seems still, but deep below, currents move, pulling continents, shaping the world. That's what the vacuum is, the deep current beneath all being. You feel it now, not with your hands but with your presence. You are suspended in it. You are made from it. You drift on its gentle waves as they stretch the universe open. The vacuum is not hostile, it does not rush, it does not roar, it simply is, and in its stillness it dreams. Some scientists call this vacuum energy the most mysterious force in physics. It's hard to measure, hard to define, but it may hold the key to why the universe is expanding, and why it's doing so faster than expected. The energy of nothing may be the most powerful something we've never fully seen, and yet, you don't need to understand it to feel it. You feel it now as a softness behind your thoughts, as a hum behind silence, as the reason space doesn't collapse inward, because it pushes very gently, but constantly, not like a hand, more like breath, steady, invisible, and always there, and it is everywhere, between stars, between atoms, between the particles inside your body, even in the space between your thoughts. The vacuum hums. Some have even suggested that our universe itself may have been born from a fluctuation in the vacuum, a small ripple, like the curl of a wave, suddenly growing, inflating, becoming space, time, galaxies. A quiet possibility, awakening into everything. This thought doesn't need proof tonight, it only needs wonder, because whether or not the vacuum gave birth to the cosmos, it still holds us now, a soft pillow beneath all motion. And so you lie there, in that dream beneath the stars. The vacuum is not frightening, it is not lonely, it is not cold, it is full, full of potential, full of quiet energy, full of things yet to be. It doesn't rush, it waits, it watches, it hums, and you hum with it. Your breath matching the beat of an unseen ocean. You are not floating in nothing, you are floating in the most mysterious presence there is. You are not alone. In every inch of space, the vacuum holds the potential for light, for motion, for meaning. Even here, in the stillness of your room, as you fall towards sleep, the vacuum hums, and in that hum, you hear something familiar, a beginning, a presence, a peace. You don't need to solve it, you don't need to grasp it, Just let it drift through your thoughts, like a wave moving through you, leaving you softer, slower, ready to sleep. The dream of the vacuum is the dream of something more than emptiness, more than silence, more than we can measure. It is the possibility beneath all things, and it cradles you now, gently, quietly, completely. There is a pattern in the sky, too vast to see with your eyes, too delicate to trace with your hands, and yet it is there, woven into the very bones of the universe. This is the cosmic web, a lattice of galaxies threaded across billions of light years, filaments of stars and gas, stretching like rivers of light through an ocean of space. You are part of it, not just observing it, but made from it. Your atoms were born in its galaxies, your thoughts shaped by its laws. Tonight, as you lie still, the universe stretches wide around you, but also within you. Out there, in the dark between stars, lie the great cosmic voids, places so empty, light takes eons to find company. And yet, even these voids are shaped by gravity, by motion, by the quiet whisper of dark energy, pushing everything apart. The galaxies are not scattered at random, they are bound in threads, knotted in clusters, arranged by invisible hands. What are those hands? Not a person, not a plan, but a balance between pull and push, between gravity and expansion, between what wants to gather and what longs to drift away. You float in that balance now, eyes closed, body still, mind open. Can you feel the pattern? The same dance that forms the vast arcs of galaxies also shaped your body. The iron in your blood was forged in the hearts of stars. The calcium in your bones once drifted through ancient clouds. The light in your eyes was born in the same universe that glows quietly in every direction. You are not beside the universe. You are of it. The cosmic web is more than structure. It is memory. Each filament is a record of where matter moved, where light traveled, where time unfolded. And between those threads, dark energy expands the canvas, a silent breath that stretches the whole. Even now, the web grows, slowly, delicately, relentlessly. What was once near drifts farther. What once clustered begins to thin. And yet, even as things drift apart, the echo of their connection remains. Just like you, the people you've loved, the places you've known. Even as time moves you onward, the echoes stay, in memory, in feeling, in the quiet hum of being alive. Out there, light from the early universe still travels, a faint glow called the cosmic microwave background. It is ancient, but not gone. It wraps around you, a soft whisper from when everything began. You hear it not with your ears, but with your being. The universe remembers itself through you. You are a listener to its oldest songs. And what is your role in all this? You do not need to solve the universe. You do not need to map it. You only need to be part of it. To breathe, to wonder, to rest. The stars do not rush. The galaxies do not fret. They turn slowly, across eons, in silence. So you too may slow now. Turn inward. Let your thoughts stretch like the filaments of the web. Gently, gently. There is no edge, no end. Only space unfolding. And somewhere in that great unfolding, you sleep. You sleep not in isolation, but wrapped in the very threads that hold galaxies together. The cosmic web is not just out there, it is in you. In the way you remember, in the way you connect, in the way your breath moves through the air, and your thoughts move through time. You are the echo of everything that came before. And tonight, you become a quiet part of everything that still is. Sleep now, and drift along the web that binds all things. You are safe, you are timeless, you are home.